Journey into Irish Music, the podcast, episode 2, John McCann, 30-second intro starts now. John grew up in Lackawanna, New York, just south of Buffalo. He's youngest child and the only musician, ironic because he's the only one that wasn't forced to take piano lessons. He developed a love of Irish music from Dubliners records and the Clancy Brothers and Ed Sullivan Show. Received his first guitar as a kid from his mother, got it from S&H Green Stamps. That's old school. Taught himself to play and was soon playing around the Buffalo area in an acoustic rock group called Midnight Sun. His roommate Tim Lally bartended at Niall Donahue's Irish Singing Pub, and after one night playing some Irish music after hours, Tim and John were recruited by Now to play a show. They learned as many Irish tunes as they could, and the second week there was a line out the door. Came to Pittsburgh to see a Pitt Miami game and met his future wife, and she even got him his first Pittsburgh gig at Murphy's Poorhouse. Moved to Pittsburgh permanently in 1991. The rest of they say is history. 29 seconds. Cue the intro.
The history of Irish music is as rich and magical as the island itself. Join me as we travel across Ireland and even down to the local pub to discover what makes Irish music so fascinating. This is Journey into Irish Music. Welcome back to episode 2 of the Journey into Irish Music podcast. Thank you for tuning back in. I am your host, Craig Mayhem, and I have an embarrassment of riches thanks to my friends who have been gracious enough to let me interview them. Last time it was Bob Banerjee, and this time it's John McCann, a stalwart of the Pittsburgh music scene, and even more so the Pittsburgh Irish music scene. And John, I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast with me, and thank you for being here.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So we were talking before this, and we talked about your history and how you got from, to Pittsburgh in 1992.
It's my wife's fault, yeah.
Right, outside of Buffalo, New York, born and raised, then somehow made it down to here. And it was meeting your wife, the catalyst that brought you to Pittsburgh. This is what hit me. You started playing the Getaway how many years ago? Or how many years did you play?
I played at the Getaway for more than 20 years. My daughter, Carly, my wife was carrying Carly when I started playing there. Carly just turned 26 yesterday.
Wow.
And when the owners of the Getaway, they sold the place to other people, and that's when it ended. But it was over 21 years that I played there, every Thursday for that long of a streak.
What really kept you playing Irish music? You started playing with a friend of yours for fun, but what keeps you playing Irish music?
Well, it's because it makes there's something inside of me that makes me feel that this is part of my history. My mom and dad are both Irish,
right?
But I love. There's so much. A lot of people think that it's sad music, but it's not. It's funny. It's witty. It's clever. They tell such great stories, and I love to try to express these stories the best I can. A lot of times with Irish music, that you'll see, like with American music, if a song is kind of like, if a woman is singing a song, she'll change it, even if it's about a man or different.
Right.
They won't change it. They won't change the sexual thing. Mm-hmm. They will say, and I loved her, if it's a woman singing or if it's a man singing. It's just like as they were reading a book,
right?
On a story. They won't change to fit themselves. They're singing the song about this particular story or this incident,
right? And
they're doing it as best they can, expressing it in their way. And they don't worry about silly things that sometimes we worry about,
right?
Like, they're going to think this or that. No, they're just telling the story the best they can. They want to express it, and being very expressive people,
right?
It works, and that's what I love about it.
I think it's important to be able to interact and have that shared experience with the audience and entertain. That's also important.
It's more than important. I had so many friends that were so much better musicians than me. I envied they're playing so much, but they can't bear to if they make a mistake, that's all they think about. You just have to roll past it. The story's not over. You can't leave them hanging. You can't hang your head, make a joke of it, or just you owe them the rest of the story.
Right.
You have to finish. And some people just can't bear it. it's too much of a perfectionist, and we lose out because these people are great, but
Right.
and I myself is pretty shy, and especially in the beginning. But as the years went by, I got to like the banter part of it a lot.
Right.
And I think that kept me afloat. Like if play at a place for over 20 years, they didn't keep me there because they thought I was a nice guy.
Right.
I was working, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So I was making it worth their while, and and I had a lot of regulars that would come, and they would ask for specific songs, but I mean, there's a lot of the songs have so much personality. Some of them, there were some songs that people want me to play that got so personal. I would say, you know what, I just can't, because it would be, there's some songs where people about the war and
Right.
people dying and disfigured people. And, it would be too much. I'd say, I can't do that mood today.
Right. It's understandable. Absolutely. It's an emotional music, and that's something that I appreciate about Irish music is you'll see someone playing with tears in their eyes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, oh yeah. They mean it. When they're really doing it right. I do have a funny story about two punk rockers that came in. They were twins, and they had the real long hair, and they had the leather on and the spikes and stuff. And they both talk like this. They had their real low voices. They were in a punk rock band together, and they didn't come in there initially to listen to me as much as they were just trying to pick up girls or something. So one of them's talking to the girls over. Is sitting. They were good-looking guys. Wow looking, but
Sure.
And but the other one got right as close as he could, and he was right at the corner of the bar. And he was listening to every single word I sang, and I was doing Irish Rebel songs, it was there's a lot of there's violence and stuff, and his brother comes over to him, and I had finished the song, and he goes, "What are you listening to this guy for?" And he goes, "You got to listen to what he's singing about. He's singing about booze and people blowing cars up." He goes, "There's people fighting and shooting each other." He goes, "It's great."
That's amazing. And that's I think that's what I tell people. I used to play heavy metal, and I'm like, well, why do you play Irish music now? I'm like, well, there's still a lot of, it's a very angry music. It can be serious.
Well, there's plenty of anger in there, yeah.
And I just don't have to smash in anybody anymore. So that's the difference. So on that, currently, right now, in 10 minutes, your answer may be different. What is your favorite Irish song to play, and why?
Oh, that's a really hard question, especially because it's a mood thing.
Right.
Like some of them, there's a beautiful song that I like to sing called Maggie, and it's a song about a love that didn't turn out,
Right.
but it's a song about he's singing about his past and how they thought that they were going to be together forever,
Right.
And also it's a song where a friend of mine, I played it, and he goes, that was my mother's favorite song. And so he said when her and her husband got married, that was the only record that they had.
Wow.
And they would dance to it. So a lot of times it pulls in these memories of friends or my parents, like a lot of my parents like the Tin Pan Alley things, but it was always hard for me to do Tour Lura Lura, let's say, because that's a Tin Pan Alley song. It's
right.
Not really looked upon as like, a great real Irish song.
Right.
But my mother really did sing it to me. So, I can remember her when I was a child, baby, and she would sing that to me to sing me to sleep, so that can choke me up.
Right.
But that's it. But I like, I like the funny ones, and we also do like Scottish stuff.
Oh, sure.
There's a song called "The Ramblin' Rover," and
Right.
and I love that because it's a song that's telling people, have fun now,
Right.
instead of do it while you can, don't be wasting your time, and it goes through like sober men and plenty and drunkards, men over 90, so it's explaining everybody,
Right.
and do, at least Jesus, at least I tried.
Right.
I mean, and so something like that, I feel like, that's maybe relaying a message that is good and uplifting and let's enjoy what we have right now,
So you've been playing in Pittsburgh since about 92, and
Yeah.
But now currently you you have a band.
Yeah.
A very
Corned beef and
popular,
curry band.
yeah, corned beef
Yeah.
and curry band. So let's talk about the genesis of that and how that came to be.
Okay, well, that's early on when after I moved here, I wanted to get a CD out, and one of the problems for me moving to Pittsburgh, I had tons of musician friends in Buffalo.
Right.
But, I didn't know the music cats in this town,
Right.
So I needed somebody that would play violin,
Right, of course.
So I asked a lot of names, and a lot of people said, a few people said, there's this guy, Bob Banerjee, that I'm sure he could play with you, but he's so busy. He's always on the road,
Right.
And I said, well, where can I find him? There was different places that he would be at, but I looked him up, and he liked to do open mic things, and
Right.
he still does.
Well,
the song that I wanted to record for a violin player for sure was something called Macphersons Lament.
Right.
And that was, I was thinking of doing a lot of the songs for the CD This Day, and This Day is a song that I wrote about my wedding day.
Right.
And so that's the name of the CD. But I wanted to, get some different, not loaded up with musicians, but keep it
Sure.
pretty acoustic. And so I went to one of these open mics, and Bob was there, and I talked to him about it, and it's an interesting story because now you know that song, right? Macphersons Lament.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I said to Bob, I want to do a song about a violin player that sung. He goes, well, that's me. I said, no, hung by the neck,
Right.
And, it's because the song, like the Clancy Brothers do it, but they actually didn't do it with a violin thing at all. It was just
Right.
about a violin player, and so I wanted to, have a strong violin part of it, and it has a big intro and outro that's all violin.
Right.
And I asked him to come to the studio and work on it with me. And as it turned out, Bob had also came to the Getaway Cafe, and he had listened to me play and stuff like that. And he would sit in and stuff, but
Right.
he wound up playing on like 11 of the songs on the CD.
Wow.
Either mandolin or violin. And it also, so I didn't know him, back then. I had just met him. And he also lived here in the South Hills, and that's where the Getaway is, in the South Hills. So he would come over when he felt like it, and he would get in and play a few songs with me, and then people were obviously impressed,
For sure.
And he can really he can find the hole in any song and fill it up, and he also he knows so much music, and he just has such a feel for it. Even if he doesn't know it, he'll find something to play that sounds good.
Right.
And so people were just loving this new, and he sings, so he's doing harmony, he's filling up the music, he's doing, now I finally got somebody playing the musical breaks in the middle of the song, so
Right.
longer. we're just better, and he also made me better because, it's nice to be playing music and feeling even better about it than you would normally, because
right.
he was adding something to it that I couldn't, and it really made me feel really good. And we have a good time together. See, we both have different type of sense of humor, but they match up pretty well, That's where the corned beef and curry thing came from,
Right.
We didn't actually come up with that name. Somebody yelled at you, like, you guys are like corned beef and curry. I thought, that sounds pretty funny. So that's how we didn't come up with that name.
Well, now it's iconic. Those are the best band names that you find. The best band names find you,
Yeah. Yeah, and even when we were still playing as just John McCann and Banerjee, we'd say, some people are saying, how do you like the name corned beef and curry? And, we would do a little vote, and it usually would be the people would like it,
And also finding a musical partner is, it's a rare thing to find someone that you can mesh with performing music. So that's a rare thing to find.
And with me, I'm a pretty solid rhythm player, but that was another thing about my playing is being a solo guy so much.
Right.
There wasn't. I'm very bass conscious, So when I'm playing a song, and a lot of guys will go into a lead, but they have to drop the bass part out, and if you don't have a bass player or somebody else playing the chords,
right,
it just doesn't sound right to me,
No.
So I could just keep doing, because I did play bass in a band,
Right.
So I do a lot of little bass runs I can, but I'm still playing down at the bottom of the neck.
Right.
And Bob's doing all this great stuff, up high with the violin or the mandolin. And
right.
Really, he's very tasteful.
One of those songs is Galway Girl. If you don't have someone playing lead.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
When I play it solo, I do the lead with la 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 la. Take it. With,
what I do? I do
yeah.
Because it just sucks without it.
Right. Exactly. That's funny. That's exactly what I do. That's funny.
Yeah.
So
I really, people ask me for the play that song. And if I'm by myself, I'm never happy to play it by myself.
Yeah, it's missing something. It's fun, but it's still.
Yeah, it's more of a chore when I'm by myself than.
Right, right. And so we share another sort of kinship. Bass player, your bass player. How has that influenced your guitar playing style?
It does a lot, and because I like having playing bass in a band. And when you play by yourself, it's the bottom notes are really important, I think, because the music is just one instrument,
right?
And so I like to do little hammer-ons with the bass notes, and a lot of people will comment that they didn't think they just because the guitar part that is normally there is just straight ahead G, C, D,
right,
whatever, and I like to walk in and out of them, and sometimes it's where I'll play the bass line that the bass player played in the real song.
Right.
And, and it really, really makes it, so it gives it so much more body.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as long as you can get it in there without confusing yourself, because
right.
I also found that you don't have to go do the whole bass line. Just do that little segment where you can work, and then you start singing again, and then they'll remember that has more feel.
You can do some walk downs, like Green Fields of France at the end of a phrase. I'll have a walk down on some bass.
Yeah. Well, there's a sad one.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can't sing that one. My banjo player has to sing it, and. Yeah,
well, what I found is the older I got, the harder it was for me to play those very, very sad sentimental songs.
Yeah. Because
I could relate to them the more, when I was real young, it was just a story about other people, and then people that have gone through that, and you meet people, right, and you have examples, and it's,
Right. We get 3 years behind you, and I think it makes you a better live player for those experiences.
Yeah, but I do feel that I relay them well, but it takes a lot out of me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like now what am I going to do?
Right, absolutely. You can't top it once you perform that kind of emotion in front of people. Please at the end of a set, because then it's good night.
One of the things that is also especially nice about Irish music is that you can do the rollbacks. You sing something and you have the crowd has their part and you have your part.
Right.
And so and that's upbeat, fun stuff.
Right.
And if you go to if people are ooh, hey.
Right. Yeah.
Like you can't segue from one to the other without like something. The universe is going to implode or something. It's like, what?
Now that you've all wiped your eyes, get ready to clap your hands.
Yeah, right.
So
tears in your ear, and now knock it over, jumping up and down.
So there's another good point about Irish music, and you even talked about it, the classic GCD chord progression, and playing multiple sets, playing for hours at a time. How do you keep the songs straight?
Well, that's a good question. It's we definitely don't do like sets. When we play, we try to do it for the audience that's in front of us at the time. A lot of time the set that would work on Friday isn't going to be the one. So it's kind of like up and down as far as like. Sometimes it looks kind of unprofessional that we're like saying, should we do this instead? Right. Like a lot of bands will just go straight into they know exactly what they're doing and they have all their banter and everything set up.
Right.
And that's one of the things that people like about us is that we're doing it. What we're talking to each other about is real. You don't know if this song is a good idea today. Right. It was great yesterday, but so. A lot of times the way you keep it rolling is just the way the audience is reacting to you, right. and then there's certain songs there that we do a lot of songs that we do play regularly together because they just match up. Right. And also because Bob plays the violin and mandolin, we can't just keep, mandolin this song, violin. So you have to try to do at least like 2 or 3, 4 songs on the mandolin, then do the violin set type of thing. So that's just logical, So that's one of the things that we have to figure out if we are trying to figure out a set is, okay, this next song has to be a violin song because I just put the violin on.
Right.
With Galway Girl, he starts with the mandolin and finishes with the violin. So
wow.
That can be pretty cool.
So how do you keep your chord progression straight from song to song? So a lot of people don't know, and I'll reveal to our listeners that a lot of Irish songs have essentially the same chord progression, except somewhere in there there's something slightly different. I need to have a book, and it fascinates me how people keep it straight. So that's why I ask everyone in an interview, how do you do it?
Well, I just do songs by the feel of it. I do have like a book that has mostly just the names of songs, right. And so I'll pick the next song according to what the audience looks like they'll do. And it is hard to there is a couple songs that are so much alike in Irish music, like that you'll actually start singing one, and you find out then you start singing the other one.
For me, it's Moonshiner and Mountain Dew. They're different tempos.
Moonshiner is the one I was looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. It's that Moonshiner is so similar to every other song.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'd be playing like, oh, I'm playing Moonshiner.
Moonshine. Yeah. That is definitely, that's just the 3-chord. And I tell people too, that want to play Irish music, I'll say, this might sound funny to you, but how are your polka chops? Because, right. Now nobody, it's not a very cool word in the music world to say polka.
Still, for some reason.
I mean, maybe for Bob. because he's corny as hell.
Right, sure.
But you know, but I said no, you know, and even when we played up at Put-in Bay, and there's a lot of the people are European that work there and stuff.
Right. And
I was talking to this Yugoslavian girl, you know, and she said, you know, I love your music because it reminds me of home. And I said, well, how's that? She goes, no, there's the beat that is the same.
Right.
You know, and it's more of a European feel. And I didn't even think of that. You know, I thought, well, that's, right. You know, you would have yours and Irish would have theirs. You know, and the Irish and English Scottish thing is kind of, you know, it's very close related. But, you know, you know, when she said that, that made me really happy, you know, because, you know, for her to say your music reminds me, she can hardly speak English.
Right.
And she said, yeah, it reminds me of home. You know, I thought, wow, that's great.
And that's amazing. And also, you know, talk about polka. It's not really cool unless you live in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. Steelers, the polka song and stuff. Yeah. Well, we play so many. We're old guys, so we play so many styles. Right. And we play weddings too. So you know, there's always going to be somebody that wants to do a polka thing, and we may not know the words, but we can do enough polka music type stuff where they can do polkas and stuff like that. And what's our polka songs, Bob?
She's too fat.
She's too fat for me. And the Steelers polka, of course, you know. That's polka.
Anything from the Lawrence Welk. And people in Pittsburgh will love it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what you're doing now. Still playing with corned beef and curry.
Right. And we do the thing where we play lots and lots of Irish music, but we play in different audiences and stuff. So like we've done trop rock shows and stuff like that, because we found that you know, we're not like a Jimmy Buffett-esque band at all. We only know a few of those kind of songs, but those people like fun music. Right. And so we found that, you know, they and I think that we're throwing them a curve that they want. Right. You know, they you know, and all the fiddle stuff and the jig stuff, the upbeat stuff and all the kidding around, you know. Right, of course. They find it very entertaining, and I think it's a breath of fresh air. But anyhow, we're getting a lot of gigs from, you know, we played down in Florida, you know, Music on the Bay. Right. And that's a big trop rock thing. We played at Put-in Bay on the island there, you know, several different places up there. But we always play a lot of Irish stuff at these places, and it's accepted pretty nice. And you know, and then when we're also at these places, and there'll be like after parties and things like that. Right. And we will play stuff like in, you know, to these people just you know, just enjoying themselves instead of entertaining the crowd, and they love this stuff that we do, and it definitely is a different recipe than they're getting most of the time.
Well, that's awesome. And you talked about the jig beat.
Oh yeah, you know, you gotta be something wrong with you if you don't like that.
Right, and that's and you know, that's fascinating, and that always seems to be the most upbeat Irish songs is the jig. And Bob and I talked about it. You know, the 3/4 rhythm somehow gets into people.
Oh yeah. It's like almost hypnotic. All of a sudden, it just hits them, you know, and then they start, you know, and it cheers them up, you know.
Right, absolutely.
And they want more too, you know, until they get like tired. It does tire them out.
Well, sure. Not everybody can do the Irish dance.
And what else is, but you know what? Usually when we're playing for a big audience, somebody's got a daughter, somebody's got a wife that knows some step dancing, right? And we'll have them on, and you know, it's just great because they're beaming with pride because their daughter's up there in front of all these people dancing, and we're loving it because it's usually some beautiful girl. Oh, sure. You know, so it's like, absolutely. You know, so it really works out nicely, and it makes it, you know, it gives you that feel like, you know, you're really, everybody's having a good time.
Awesome. And so also currently We are in Corona times, as everyone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or if you're listening to this in 100 years, this was during Corona times. You have been recording music and putting it on Facebook, social media. So
yeah,
tell me about that. What sort of inspired that, and why do you keep doing it?
Well, one of the reasons is just because I miss it, you know.
Right.
And I think that the Corona thing is it makes us all think about a lot of things.
Right.
You know, and I think after this is over, everybody's going to be a little bit different. Right. They'll appreciate things in a different way. You know, just yesterday, I went to this place that I play at every Wednesday, Billy's Roadhouse, and it's been closed. No, it's not closed. They're doing takeout.
Right.
And you know, I go in there and I haven't played there for a long time, but I played there. I've been playing there for years too.
Sure.
And, you know. So when I go in there, the girl that was giving my order. You know, it's just like, it was so good to see her, you know, I just,
right.
And she's all, most of the time it was like, she's busy, this and that, but, it was just, I wanted to like hug her, it's like, oh right. My God, I can't, we both have masks on and stuff like that. And
right.
But I mean, I think a lot of people will appreciate each other a little more, because they're, take it for granted.
So you're still giving back to the audience by
and some of these songs that I put on there are just songs, especially like that I'm putting on like Facebook and things like that, some of them are songs that I'm not able to play all the time, because of they need more upbeat things, or
right.
The audience might not be able to pay close enough attention to the beautiful things. But I've been putting funny ones on there too. So, I don't know if you heard George Is on My Mind, but that.
Oh, I love that song. I didn't see that one. I'm gonna have to go on your page for it.
Yeah, it's on there.
So, let's talk about after we can all hang out again.
Oh my God, yeah.
So what kind of projects do you have? What is your next recording project? Even if it's not, Irish music.
Well, Bob and I were just talking about doing a song called "I Used to Love Her," and adding a bunch of Pittsburgh musicians and doing cameos. We did do a CD in 2019.
Okay.
That was our newest one, and
well, tell me about that.
It has a lot. It's called Live-ish Irish, and it has a lot of songs that we were actually planning on doing it as a live project.
Right.
And then as we were in the studio with it playing these songs live, but we figured we could beef them up a little bit,
right.
Put a bass line in there, maybe put, this guy, Joe Monroe did it for us, and he's a musician and a keyboard player. Mm. And so we did use the studio to beef it up, and some of the songs are very much studio-esque, so it's not live anymore, but it's live-ish.
Live-ish.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, and it sounds great too, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I've got a lot of good feedback about it, but we're all missing it really bad, and we're trying to figure out ways to get together and like maybe on a Zoom type of thing.
Right.
And like this thing today, I sent that song to both my daughters. My daughters are both, singers and dancers, and one lives in London and one lives in New York City.
Right.
And they're very, very artistic girls, and they're doing great. But I want them to do cameos in this.
Oh wow.
And Bob's daughter is a great, musician and singer too.
The second generation.
Yeah. She's really, she's accomplished. She's plays the, violin. She's been playing a long time. The dad like Bob, I'm sure.
Right.
That couldn't have hurt,
Sure. Of course not.
I didn't have that in my family, we had a piano when I was little, but, I never had any, since I was the baby of the family. My mom and dad, they spent money on, piano lessons for my older, there's 6 of us, my 2 older sisters, and then my 3 older brothers. By the time they get to me, they just said, you know what, we're not wasting any more money on it. The one guy that would have done something with it,
Right. Why?
I guess they always say the baby of the family often is the one that's, artistic.
Right. Sure.
So, I would go down to my cousin had a piano. I used to like to play with that. And, back in those days that that's how old I am. You listen to the transistor radio under the pillow,
Right.
This is a speaker this big.
Oh, sure.
I
had
AM radio.
45.
Yeah. And it was, the Beatles and Ed Sullivan Show, things like that. That's where it was, I would never miss those music shows. Even the ones that I wasn't crazy about, I still watched them.
Right.
That was really my only way of seeing it,
Right.
Mitch Miller, geez,
Sing along with Mitch, ladies.
Yeah.
So.
He didn't say anything.
Yeah, exactly. When this is all over, where's the first place you want to play, and what's the first song?
Oh God, that's
don't think about it too hard. Just
no. Well, I like the setting at Mullaney's Harp and Fiddle, because it is actually a real nice pub setting. They actually have a stage and
right.
They have lights, and and the people are in their Irish tables in front of you, and the bars over here. But it's one of these places where everybody can see you, So,
right. I think I've seen you guys play there. That was actually the inspiration. I told the story in the last episode. I saw you guys there, and that was the inspiration for me to start my own Irish band.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So that would probably be a good place to start up back. When I play solo every week too. So I play at this place called Billy's, and it's only like a couple of miles away from my house, and it's kind of taken over for the hole that was left from the Getaway.
Right.
So that was one of the nice things, that when the Getaway thing, when the different owners took it over, they didn't want to continue the same thing. And by the way, it's gone under. It's for sale now. If you want to buy a bar, it's been for sale for. Yeah, there 2 people bought it since then, and it just didn't fly anymore.
Right.
Just because I wasn't there, obviously.
Of course not. What I mean, elementary, 20 some odd years.
Yeah. I told them, I said, they didn't pay me because, they wanted to be nice,
Right. So first song, we know where we're going to play. Probably those 2 places first.
Well, the first song, I like the Star of the County Down is the first song, because, it's got impact.
Right.
And it's a true Irish song. And it's just the kind of song that I think the audience gets a pretty good idea what we're about with a song like that.
All right, you have heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen of Pittsburgh. When you are able to get together, learn how to interact and play and clap along to Star of the County Down. You can find it. Tons of people have done it. That's your homework. For after Corona times.
Yeah.
John, thank you so much for being on my show. I could not have asked for more. Again, embarrassment of riches. Talking to, again, just a fixture in the Pittsburgh Irish music scene and music scene in general. So thank you so much for being with me, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well.
Oh, I do. I did enjoy it very much, and thank you for having me. And
hopefully, when Corona times are over, I can visit Pittsburgh again, and we can hang out.
Yeah, we'll get you up there. It is another thing we do is sometimes it can be a blessing or a curse, you know, you get other people up, you know, and
Right. As I well know, usually a curse when I do it. So anyway, thank you so much, and we'll get you at you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Oh, sure.
Thanks.
Thank you. We'll see you.
All right.